Tonight we begin the tale of Henry IV, a king crowned in childhood, constrained in youth, and confronted by crises before he even reached his majority. His reign begins not with triumph, but with tutors, guardians, and the grinding gears of governance. A young king, yes, but one already burdened by the crown's weight. Henry was born in 1050 at the imperial palace of Goslar, a cradle of kingship if ever there was one. Son of Emperor Henry III and Agnes of Poitou, grandson of William of Aquitaine, heir to the Salian line. He was crowned King of the Germans at Aachen in 1054, enthroned by Pope Victor II the following year. A boy king before he was a boy, placed upon a throne he could not yet comprehend. When Henry III died in 1056, the empire fell into the hands of his widow, Agnes of Poitou. She governed with dignity, but regencies are rarely restful. Bishops bickered, dukes demanded, and the princes pressed for influence. Agnes attempted balance, but the court became a nesting of needling nobles, each seeking advantage over a child king who could not yet speak for himself. And then came the coup. In 1062, Archbishop Otto of Cologne seized the young king during a river excursion at Kaiserswerth. Chroniclers insist Henry leapt into the Rhine in a desperate attempt to escape, a detail they recount with suspicious relish. Agnes was forced into retirement. Anno became regent. The empire, once orderly under Henry III, now lurched from one guardian to another. A king kidnapped, a court convulsed. Henry's youth was shaped by a rotating cast of ecclesiastical overseers, Anno of Cologne, Adalbert of Bremen, and others who saw in the boy an opportunity to steer imperial policy. Henry chafed under their control. He learned early that power taken is rarely returned, and that princes who preach humility seldom practice it. These were his formative frustrations, the lessons that would harden him for the conflicts to come. In 1065, at the age of 15, Henry declared his majority. Regents stepped aside, reluctantly, and the young king began to rule in his own right. He moved quickly, restoring allies, punishing enemies, and asserting royal authority in the hearts. His early reign was marked by energetic, even impulsive assertion, the confidence of youth combined with the memory of humiliation. Henry's first major crisis came in 1070, when he accused Otto of Nordheim, Duke of Bavaria, of plotting murder. The charge rested on the testimony of a single ministerialis, a thin reed on which to hang a duke. Otto refused trial by combat, was stripped of his duchy, and fled. This was the beginning of Henry's long struggle with the Saxon nobility, a ducal downfall that sowed deep distrust. Henry expanded royal control over the Harz, especially the silver mines of Ramelsburg. To secure them, he built fortresses, Harzburg foremost, and staffed them with Swabian ministeriales, whose conduct was, to put it mildly, provocative. The Saxons saw these castles as symbols of oppression. Their resentment grew into resistance, and resistance into rebellion. We have already traced this conflict in our previous lecture: the confrontation at Goslar, the flight to Harzburg, the peace of Gerstungen, and the final reckoning at Langensalza. For Henry, the rebellion was both a test and a turning point, a crucible of kingship. He emerged victorious, but not secure. Victory brought visibility, and visibility brought enemies. After Langensalza, Henry rebuilt his castles and reasserted his authority. But the princes who had supported him began to fear his growing strength. The Saxons remained resentful. The church watched him with wary eyes. Henry stood at the threshold of his greatest challenge, the confrontation with Pope Gregory VII. The young king had survived rebellion, but he had not yet faced reform. And so we leave Henry IV at the end of his youth, crowned early, constrained long, and tested by rebellion. His next trials will not come from Saxon swords, but from papal decrees. In our next lecture, Henry IV, the Young King, Part 2, we return to the investiture controversy, excommunication, Canossa, and the clash of empire and church. A child crowned high, a youth beset by strife, now steps a king into the storms of life.